In
Yeah.
one of the years where they were supposed to be dead in the water, where it was supposed to be this, I can't believe what a train wreck the Packers are. They're right there on the doorstep of making the playoffs again. I just can't do it anymore.
And like it felt safe to say like, oh yeah, they're not making the playoffs. What does this mean for the Packers organization? And then
How
here
much
they
time
are.
did we spend
So
talking
much.
about Brady and
So
Rodgers
much.
being done? And
So
Brady,
much.
and man, I can't believe Brady and Rodgers fell off. And what is this? And it's not like they're playing great, but now it looks like both of them might make the playoffs.
We had a loser leaves town segment between the Bucks and the Packers before they played each other, and then we hedged and said loser leaves contender town. So thank God we hedged with that and just threw that little word in there just to help out. But yeah, I can't believe this because it just felt safe. And sure enough, they figured things out on offense a little bit. The defense, I guess, steps up today. Also, in their special teams is returning kicks. Like that was like one of those staples. It's like Mahomes is going to win in a 2-minute drill, and the Packers special teams is going to blow a game. And now they're returning kicks for touchdowns. It's astounding what they're doing right now.
Obviously, the big splash plays, the kick return for a touchdown, even the pick six, you can't rely on that every single game. But to a certain extent, this is the type of team I thought the Packers would be if they were going to be good.
Right.
I thought they would have one of the best defenses in the league, which that certainly hasn't happened, but their pass defense has been excellent as of late and was excellent again today. I thought their pass defense would be great based on the guys they had back there.
Yep.
I thought they would run the ball very well, and they did that today. Aaron Jones had 111 yards on 14 carries. AJ Dillon had another solid day. They were very efficient running the football, which they've been for most of the year. And Aaron Rodgers wouldn't have to be a superhero. The line would be good. The defense would be good. And they would win games and be a little bit uglier, but they would still be a really good team. It took 17 weeks and it took some fluky stuff happening. The Packers are a diet version of that team now.
It's amazing. That's exactly right. We were really excited. I know I was too, with how I thought this Packers defense would look. Ooh, they're injecting with all this young talent. Look at those DBs. They got some dudes up front that can do some stuff. And no, it's working for them. Like their run game's really interesting because they do everything out of the shotgun. And as opposed to other teams that run out of the shotgun, maybe not the Bengals because they're their own thing too, is that, Rodgers isn't a part of that run game. Like he's not reading guys on the backside and everything. And
are you discrediting his rushing touchdown today?
I am.
So there's plenty on the move for an old man.
He had a run against the Dolphins yesterday or last week when he was scrambling. And how many times have you seen Rodgers like, how is he pulling away from guys and getting that first, or like just holding them off? And last week against the Dolphins, there's two guys closing on him. I'm like, there it is. There's Father Time. Father Time does get everybody because how many times I'm like, how is nobody closing on him? And he's getting the first. He runs like a 4.85. And sure enough, okay, finally, it only took him till he's nearly 40s for that to work. But no, their run game is so sweet because they'll run like the GT counter stuff with the guard and tackle pull, and they don't read it, and they still successfully run it because they block it so well. And they'll just do stuff like that. It's really good. I like the run game a lot, and I have the whole year.
On offense, the running game specifically, one of the biggest questions we had about them coming into this week is, would guys be healthy? Yep. Would the offensive line be back healthy? What would Aaron Jones look like? What sort of workload would he get? And they were healthy enough to be effective in that area of the game. So that was one of the big questions we had about this matchup specifically coming into it. Yep. The other big question that we had, what was the plan going to be for number 18 after the horror show that we saw in week 1? And the plan was certainly different. They did a fantastic job of limiting him, and they did it with a couple of specific tweaks that really had a huge impact. So what did you see from the way that they planned for Jefferson and what worked today?
They really keyed in on his alignment. And we've talked before, talking about Devontae Adams and Justin Jefferson, how defenses will cloud aside. They'll play cover 2 to the side that they're on. Well, a way to kind of mix it up and get guys open is put them in the slot, move them around, put them in motion and everything. And the Packers, it looks like they had checks based on alignment. There's probably some more subtleties and different calls, but they're basic calls.
You don't know the whole game plan?
I don't. As much as I
based on one TV tape viewing,
I'll talk 5 plays and act like I knew the whole game plan. But just one little part, I kind of was noticing this though, was when Jefferson was on the outside, they would check to cover 2. Jair Alexander was following him. They would go cover 2. They would cover 2 to his side. Okay, so when the Vikings put Jefferson in the slot, that's when you're seeing some of the one double stuff. They're truly running man coverage. We're doubling him. And then if they put what the Vikings counter or a changeup that they've done throughout this year is, let's have Jefferson start in the backfield like a running back, and then motion out. And that way we can hide them, maybe get them on a linebacker, or maybe get the corner if they want to be in man coverage. The Packers had a check for that too, and they would just check to cover 3. And sorry, that was their check. Sorry, I was clapping. For people watching this on YouTube could see me doing it. But I thought that was super interesting because I've seen other teams do that. The Lions have done this the same way, but the Packers really, they have a little better players on the defensive backfield than the Lions do. That really helps out with this. And the second half, the first drive for the Vikings was fascinating. And I wish Kirk Cousins didn't shit his pants with the strip sack at the end of the drive, because what the Vikings were doing was really cool. Like they started motioning Jefferson as a jet sweep guy to kind of like hide him and kind of hide everybody else's splits. And that's why you kind of saw some kind of false starts and stuff from the Vikings too, because you can tell they're doing this on the fly. This was a halftime adjustment. They started him in the slot and then motioned him to like the Z to the outside towards the tight end. And you can see the Packers trying to sort it out. And the Packers check was, okay, screw this. Let's just go quarters. And that's why you saw finally the first catch to Jefferson on that dig when Jair Alexander was playing off, because they checked the quarters. They're like, all right, screw this. We'll just do that. And then the game got kind of went out of hand. So we kind of didn't get to see more of it, but I thought that was super interesting. It was about to be. The other thing that I thought was interesting the Packers did, they're running big nickel a lot with 3 safeties. And they have done this before after Eric Stokes got hurt in weeks 10 and 11 against the Cowboys and Titans. Then they got away from it. They've been using Kayshawn Nixon as the nickel. This week, though, they went 3 safeties with Rudy Ford, Adrian Amos, and Darnell Savage. And Savage was the nickel player. And why? Savage is a great athlete. So they had him just manning up on receivers. He was man on KJ Osborne. He was man on that last interception that Kirk Cousins alerted the post on and threw the interception. The game was out of hand. But you know who the man defender on Justin Jefferson was? It was Darnell Savage. Like, so I thought that was a really interesting kind of tweak to get these different body types on the field for the defense. And that's why they could run the 1-double stuff, was because Savage can man up with Osborne while they put another corner and a safety on Justin Jefferson. So, and then have another corner on Adam Thielen, and then have another safety type or good body type of Quay Walker even on TJ Hawkinson. So I thought that was just super interesting how they are kind of tweaking this defense in week 17, and something I want to keep an eye on as the weeks go ahead, because it really, really worked for them. They were super successful out of those looks today.
The stat that really jumped out to me today, Aaron Schatz tweeted something staggering. In their wins this season, so even if you eliminate these nightmarish games that the Vikings have had, they're 18th in DVOA.
In their wins.
They are one of the strangest teams in recent memory. And I do think that they can get hot and they can get streaky, and because they have Jefferson, they're a little bit dangerous, but I'm kind of with you. I don't think this game is really informative from a Vikings perspective, because I think we've seen this version of them before. I think this version of the Packers is slightly new. And so the way that their pass defense is playing and kind of the upside they have on that side of the ball, combined with if their offensive line is healthy, if the offensive skill position players are healthy, if they can run the ball, I think they can do enough to be dangerous. So, here we are. So if the Packers win this week, if they beat the Lions, they're in. Like, that's as simple as it is.